back is saying something. ये फ्लावर्स हटाने हैं? अच्छा ये बीच में. It's okay. Let's let him take the photograph. Kinana, back to you, please. I request the photographers not to take the aisle because then it blocks the view of the TV cameras. So good afternoon everybody. I welcome you all to today's press conference. I first welcome Secretary Tourism, Government of India, Srimati V. Vidyavati, Additional Secretary Tourism, Shri Rakesh Verma, Shri Sanjeev Rodriguez, State Nodal Officer for G20, Shrimati Radha Katyal, Director G20 in the Ministry of Tourism. Friends, today's media briefing is being held on the important upcoming 4th G20 Working Group meeting of tourism, which will be immediately followed by Tourism Ministers meeting. 3 successful meetings of working groups have already been held, along with side events on useful and interesting topics and issues. So moving ahead, Secretary Tourism will give you the details about the 4th meeting starting tomorrow, but before that I'll just give you the flow of the events. There will be first presentation by Additional Secretary, Mr. Rakesh Verma. Then there will be remarks by the Secretary Tourism. Then we will show you a short video on the working group. This will be followed by question and answer sessions. I request you all to introduce yourself while you will be asking the question and answers. So I pass on the dais to... Okay. So we begin the conference first with the remarks of the Secretary Tourism.
Good afternoon everyone. Thank you for joining us in this amazing town and amazing location. It gives you such a positive vibe to be here and to be talking to all of you. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. This press briefing we thought we'll share with our media friends what we have lined up for the next 3 days in Goa. This is the Tourism Ministry, Government of India organizing the 4th Tourism Working Group and the Tourism Ministers meeting. They are back to back. One is on 19th and 20th, followed by the Ministers meeting on the 21st of June. There is no reiteration to say that Goa is one of the best known global tourist destination and is a perfect grand finale for the Tourism Working Group. We've had 3 meetings so far. The first one was in Ran of Kutch, the second one was in Siliguri, the third one was in Srinagar, and the 4th and the final working group meeting is here in Goa. Goa offers, as you know, a host of experiences including beaches, heritage monuments, ecotourism, lovely landscape and very, very rich art, heritage and culture. Therefore, it's one of the best locations we think for holding the final meeting of the Tourism Working Group. Under the G20 tourism track, the Tourism Working Group is working on 5 interconnected priority areas: green tourism, digitalization, skills, tourism MSMEs, and destination management. Now, these priorities are the key building blocks for accelerating the transition of the tourism sector and achieving the targets for the 2030 SDGs. Friends, the 2 key deliverables of the Tourism Working Group we are looking for are the Goa Roadmap for Tourism as a vehicle for achieving sustainable development goals, followed by the G20 Tourism Ministers Declaration. The side events which we have lined up include a very, very interesting one. The first one we have is the event on cruise tourism. Basically the theme being making cruise tourism a model for sustainable and responsible travel. This is on tomorrow, which is the 19th of June, focusing on strategies to promote cruise tourism. A panel discussion featuring speakers from the G20 member countries and the guest countries will shed light on country-specific policies and initiatives, its growth and the need to make cruise tourism sustainable and responsible. We also have another event on cruise tourism which focuses mostly on India, mainly on India, making India a hub for cruise tourism to deliberate the various opportunities where we have to develop cruise tourism in India. In addition, we have another event which is focusing on environment, which is towards a circular economy of plastics in tourism, the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative. Now, this is being organized in collaboration with the UNEP and the UNWTO. This is also on tomorrow, which is the 19th of June. This will focus on engagement of tourism stakeholders to address plastic pollution, something all of us deeply care about, to address plastic pollution through circular approaches across the tourism value chain. In both these side events, we have invited representatives from different states, different state governments as well, because we very strongly believe that this is a great opportunity for us to learn and share experiences from each other. We also have a public-private dialogue on importance of travel and tourism to the G20 economies, which is slated on the 21st of June. This is being organized by the Ministry of Tourism in Goa in association with the World Travel and Tourism Council, the WTTC, and the UNWTO. This actually provides a forum to the participants to share their priorities and concerns and identify opportunities for greater public-private partnership. And as I said, here again, we have invited the representatives of state governments also, because we very strongly believe that nothing like actually listening to the other person and learning from their experiences, from their understanding, so that we can do what we are doing in a far better way. Besides the conferences, besides the discussions and panel discussions, we also have lined up several immersive experiences in display of art and craft, local handicrafts and local artisans, of course, not to forget the local cuisine. I should really thank the State Government of Goa for lending unstinted support in organizing the event, and I'm sure this will go well, for the next 2-3 days. We hope and we sincerely hope that the successful deliberations of this group will strengthen economic growth, preserve cultural heritage, and promote sustainable development of the tourism sector. We are very happy to share that several international organizations like as I told you, the UNWTO, the UNEP, and the ILO, they're all participating in the discussions for the next 3 days. And I'm sure we all will leave Goa with richer and more enriching experience than we had come here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your details about the upcoming events. Now I request Additional Secretary, Mr. Rakesh Verma, to give the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you and good afternoon, friends. So as Secretary has already given you a brief overview of the 4 days of Tourism Working Group meeting and the ministerial meeting, I'll provide through this presentation some more details about the same. So the 4th Tourism Working Group meeting is the final Tourism Working Group meeting that we have, and we are looking at 2 key deliverables. One is the Goa roadmap for tourism as a vehicle for achieving sustainable development goals. And second is obviously endorsement of the same Goa roadmap through a tourism minister's declaration. So these are the 5 key priorities which India during its presidency has set out for Tourism Working Group, on which Tourism Working Group has been working. So just to recapture them, the first priority is greening of tourism sector, where we're talking about a sustainable, responsible and resilient tourism sector. The second is harnessing the power of digitalization. The third is about empowering youth with skills and entrepreneurship. The fourth is nurturing tourism MSMEs. And the fifth is our destination management. So these 5 priorities we have been working on, and we have built the Goa roadmap around these 5 priorities. And so these, the 2 key deliverables, the Goa roadmap, and let me just emphasize here that for the first time we have a document which is focusing on tourism sector from sustainable development goals lens. The growth and development in tourism sector, how can it lead to accomplishment of sustainable development goals? And so that's the larger vision that we had set out, and we are happy that this is now achieving the finality. And the tourism ministers meeting endorses the Goa roadmap, and also we are able to push another key idea from India, that's travel for life. How individual actions by citizens can also contribute to climate action and environment protection. So that also has really got accepted and endorsed. In terms of the side events that we are organizing, the Secretary Ma'am has already briefed you. So we have side events. I mean, we've been doing it on the sidelines of all tourism working group meeting, and here also we picked up very relevant topics. So this is around the plastics in tourism sector, how tourism sector could contribute to minimizing and eliminating the single-use plastic, which is really creating so much of, it's become a menace. And this event is in partnership with UNEP and UNWTO. There is a global tourism plastic initiative, and we are also happy to announce that some of the states are signing this. We at the central level through IITTM are signing this initiative so that we remain focused and take steps around it. The second day we have the main tourism working group, which starts with an inaugural session, which will have Honorable Chief Minister, we'll have our Tourism Minister, we'll have our Minister of State for Tourism, and there will be two working sessions during the tourism working group meeting, and they will deliberate on the two deliverables that we have already spelled out. We also have a side event on making India a hub for cruise tourism, like Secretary Ma'am shared. The first day we have international events where the member countries will be participating. They will be sharing their thoughts and insights on how to make cruise tourism a sustainable and responsible sector. On the day two, we deliberate on India position. We've invited port authorities, we've invited state governments, we've invited shipping ministry, inland waterways authority. So all of them are going to put together where we are, where are we headed, what are the opportunities, and across all four, the ocean cruising, the river cruising, the islands. So this will be a very comprehensive event which will deliberate on different aspects of developing cruise tourism in India. We are also launching a small draft strategy based on the ideas given by industry for cruise tourism. The third event, the public-private sector dialogue, importance of travel and tourism to the G20 economies. Again, as we all understand, tourism is driven by private sector. So how the priorities that we've set out, the action plans that we've set out, how do we involve private sector? What is their position? Where are the opportunities for partnerships? So that's going to be focus of this particular side event, which is led by WTCC, and UNWTO also will be a partner in this. So the final session is when we have the tourism ministers meeting, and they do a final endorsement of what we have been doing. And obviously during the course of these 4 days, there will be a lot of bilateral meetings by India with other visiting delegations, and also by other countries with the other invitees. And we are taking our delegates to a half-day excursion, and they will get to see one of these main attractions, which is Lower Ecuador Fort. And also on the last day, when they take a technical tour and excursion for these important places, which are all World Heritage Sites. During our stay, we will also be hosting them for dinner. So there will be a ministerial reception dinner when most of them arrive. Then there is a gala dinner also on 21st. These activities also just to give them exposure to our local arts, crafts, and the local cultural offerings. So the state government has organized this. So these stalls will be there. They will be there for all 4 days. The delegates can go and visit them, understand them, experience them. So that's again a regular activity that we do alongside our tourism working group. We also have this International Yoga Day coinciding during our working group meeting. So on 21st, we will participate in the state level function. All our international delegates will go and participate in the International Yoga Day. And we also promote one district, one product souvenirs from the state, again focusing on the art, craft, and the products of the state. So all the delegates, the gifts that have been finalized, they figure the ODOP products of the state. So these are some of the products which have been shortlisted for gifts to the delegates. So this was briefly about the 4 days tourism working group meeting and the ministerial. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rakeshji, for your comprehensive overview of the working group meeting and the ministerial meeting. Now we will have a video for you to give you further idea of the meeting.
In the serene coastal state of Goa, amidst the azure waters, we gather to explore and promote the wonders of tourism. This thriving industry holds immense potential for our nations, intertwining cultures, boosting economies, and creating unforgettable experiences. Under the dynamic leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, India proudly assumes the role of leading the world's most influential economies. Under G20, India's core theme is of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, as we come together to shape the future of tourism. Welcome to the G20 4th Tourism Working Group and G20 Tourism Ministerial Meet from the 19th till the 22nd of June 2023. And what better place to hold this momentous event than the enchanting land of Goa. G20's 4th Tourism Working Group and G20 Tourism Ministerial Meet will deliberate and finalize Goa roadmap for tourism as a vehicle for achieving sustainable tourism goals. Under India's G20 presidency, the Tourism Working Group aims towards 5 priorities, namely green tourism, skills, tourism MSMEs, digitalization, and destination management. The Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, invites you to join us as we take a step closer to unlocking the immense potential of tourism. Come, sail towards a brighter, more inclusive, and awe-inspiring future of tourism in Goa.
Friends, now we move on to the question and answer session. So kindly ask questions one by one. You may raise your hand and also introduce yourself before asking the question. Yes, please. Yes, kindly ask the question and introduce yourself.
Augusto Rodriguez from Gomantak Times. This is to Miss Vidyawati. This is the last conference. What have you all picked up from the previous 3 conferences?
As we had mentioned in the presentation and I had also briefed, the Goa roadmap itself is what has emerged over the last 3 conferences and will get concretized now in the last 20 weeks. The 5 priority areas which we talked about, the push of tourism towards the sustainable development goals is the biggest takeaway for us, and that is what this conference aims to achieve. So that's exactly what your question, the answer to your question is exactly.
Yes, Kunal from
Kunal from PTI. This is Kunal from PTI. Ma'am, the second meeting, which is the ministerial meeting, will take place parallelly with Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US, which is itself a coincidence. Do you feel that there will be any special bilateral meeting, or there have been requests from the US side to hold bilateral meetings?
Yes, so we have these bilateral meetings scheduled, and US delegation is having a bilateral meeting with India during this visit.
This is when, sir?
Our meetings are spread over 20th, 21st, so this is probably on 21st.
21st.
Yes.
And so far, sir, how many delegates have arrived and how many delegates have confirmed, sir, in terms of registration?
So the peak is 150 plus delegates, which on 21st for the ministerial, we've got the registration of around 150 delegates.
Okay. And has BRICS countries registered, sir, or rather Russia, China, sir?
Russia is very much there.
And China, sir?
China not so far.
Not so far, sir.
Only China is not there.
Hi ma'am, my name is Gagneet. I from Economic Times Travel Division. So my question is that any tentative discussion points that the ministry has listed down for finalizing the Goa roadmap yet?
The themes which we spoke about are exactly the discussion points. The focus on MSMEs, the focus on green tourism, the focus on sustainable development. That those exactly are the 5 points around which the entire Goa roadmap, followed by the minister's, the ministerial declaration will be. That is the point.
Thank you.
Next, anybody else would like to ask a question? Yes. The gentleman at the back.
Yes, sir.
हाय मैम माय नेम इज़ पांडुरंग आई एम फ्रॉम गोमंत भूमि मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है जब भी अब टूरिज़्म डेवलपमेंट की बात आती है इको टूरिज़्म ग्रीन टूरिज़्म या अभी आपने बोला है कि इंडिया को हब ऑफ क्रूज टूरिज़्म हब करने की सोच रहे लेकिन ये सब चीज़ों में जॉब क्रिएशन की कितनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ रहेगी
अगर आप पूछेंगे कितनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज रहेंगी वो बताना थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा, बट द आइडिया इज एग्जैक्टली दैट जो अगर हम हब बनाएंगे या फिर हम उसको बढ़ावा देंगे तभी तो जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट करने के लिए भी यू नीड अ फोरम. सो दैट इज व्हाई दिस एंटायर डिस्कशन व्हाइल ensuring that it is also sustainable. I mean, we need to balance both.
लेकिन इसके ऊपर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन भी कितना होगा वो मेन है ना राकेश सर.
You know, as compared to manufacturing sector, every investment and the capital it generates many more jobs in tourism sector. And in terms of potential, if you look at global economies, 10% of GDP comes from 1 in 10 jobs, the worldwide comes from tourism sector and related sector. So that is the kind of importance that we have. So any investment, any growth in tourism sector has huge spin-off on employment and entrepreneurship opportunities.
Any more questions? Yes.
Yes, practice 1.6.
There are 8 of them: Netherlands, Singapore, Spain, Mauritius, UAE, Bangladesh, and Egypt. One more, Nigeria, Oman. These are the guest countries. Every presidency has this discretion to invite guest countries.
After COVID, there has been, for example, in Goa, there have been a lot of foreigners not coming into Goa because there are restrictions about visas. Is this forum going to help clear the air on issue of visas?
As of now, there is no restriction on visas. You know, during the obviously COVID phase, there were specific policies by countries and everywhere. But I think now we have passed that.
So there was a time, even now, I know there are foreign tourists who come to Goa, they stay for 6 months, 8 months, and they have not been able to come because such visas have not been issued.
No, there is no restriction as of now.
Hi, this is Tukaram from Prime TV. I just wanted to know, will there any discussion on interland tourism in Goa? Interland tourism.
Interland. I think tourism is all encompassing. So when you say tourism, it's not restricted to one beachfront. So the whole idea is to take, say, tourism is a vehicle. So you're creating an ecosystem so that every part of the state, every part of the country develops. So hinterland is definitely part of what we discuss. So there is no separate distinction for hinterland. So if hinterland develops, that's when the main tourism develops.
Vidyavati ji, this meeting is happening just 2 days after Cyclone Biparjoy. That also creates a challenge because the PWG talks about the global challenges that tourism faces. And also we are talking a few years later after the conflict which is happening in Russia and Ukraine. Will global conflict and natural disaster also form part of the agenda, ma'am, when discussed with the PWG?
See, all the challenges to sustainable tourism and how do we move towards sustainable tourism is what are being discussed here. Definitely cyclones or any natural disasters will be a part of the discussion here.
And conflict?
So the resilient part, you know, when you looked at green tourism, so it's a sustainable, inclusive and resilient. So we have to develop tourism sector in a resilient way so that it can absorb the shocks of any such major disruption, whether by natural ways or the man-made ways. So there are discussions around that and roadmap will reflect on that.
So I think we are over. We are done with the questions. Thank you everybody for joining, and I also thank the dignitaries.
I think you have a a second media briefing somewhere, is what I heard. I mean, there's one more event, one more headphone.
One more event is going on, that's why we are.
I know, but let me, sorry Nanu, I will have a second. So I really thank all of you for coming here. If you have a 5-minute time, please do have a cup of tea. Thank you.
Thank you so much.